Welcome to World History Notes. My name is Fred Widdowson, and I'm reading from a book that I wrote to teach homeschoolers world history up through World War II. And I just want to just going over some things that at least the general topic you should know about. This is more a survey. It's not really too in depth, but these are things that even if you disagree with me, you should at least know they exist. They've talked about, they've been discussed, and so that way you have an awareness of this when things are referred to. You can get my book if you want it. You don't have to. You can always just follow here. Lulu.com, Amazon, the Bible Baptist Bookstore. So, but we'll just go on here. Today I'm discussing more than one king at a time. Now, a word about the study of history in general and how to keep from falling into trap into which many unbelieving historians fall. First, in any given country, at any given time, there can be more than one king presenting himself as the king of the entire country due to civil wars, dynastic power, struggles, and invasions. For instance, history shows us that two kings can equally claim authority, while neither one actually controls the entire country. Two dynasties might even run concurrent with each other in this case. Secondly, a king's reign can be broken by revolt, invasion, or some other displacement, as in the case of the modern Vlad Tepes, Dracula, of Romania, who reigned from Bucharest twice, separated by a few years. Thirdly, kings may adopt the name of a great hero or a king of the past as their own to lend legitimacy or a sense of continuity and identification with a greater past to their reign, such as various kings calling themselves Ramses, or even Henry or Charles, or a pope calling himself Benedict. Fourthly, the existence of foreign words or phrases in inscriptions can be misleading due to the influence by such things as Greek mercenaries in ancient Egypt and Persia, and the words they brought to those cultures, which have confused modern secular scholars in their dating of the book of Daniel. Foreign words and their derivation today are quite common in our language. Ultimately, an historian or archaeologist can only truthfully talk about what he has found, evidence which may be confusing or contradictory. The pronouncement in a news article or a high school textbook that this or that is a fact is not always an honest representation of conflicting evidence which has been unearthed. Your best option is to stick with the biblical record, whether you believe it represents world history to be 6,000, 10,000, or a million years old, or millions of years old. As an example, we have the dating of the Great Pyramid. Everyone from Herodotus to Flinders Petrie has come up with different dates for its construction. I've read dates for its construction from after the Exodus of Hebrews to 12,000 of the Hebrews to 12,000 BC. You can spend a lot of time just reading the debate on the dating of the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx. Interestingly, the word pyramid is not mentioned in the Bible unless you interpret the word Migdal or tower in Exodus 14:2 as a reference to the pyramids. The ancient historians Diodorus Siculus and Plutarch both said that in the early beginnings, all Egypt was a sea. Herodotus says that in the reign of the first king, tradition held that the entire area of Lower Egypt, or that closest to the Mediterranean, was a marsh. Mizraim, Ham's son, also comes down to us in inscriptions as Menes, the great embanker, who, according to Herodotus, claimed the land of Egypt by controlling the Nile, as perhaps proudly proclaiming in Ezekiel 29:3. Even Durant concedes that at one time the Nile Delta was undoubtedly a bay. Creationists and evolutionists alike describe a great sea in North Africa, although they differ about the time of the existence of such a sea. Creationists state that after the flood, there was a gradual drying out of a great deal of the earth, and that many areas that are now desert were once wet. Evolutionists point out that the great number of fossils, marine and otherwise, found under the desert ground of Egypt. Another note about the study of history is pertinent here. Names found in history will vary a great deal for one person or place as you uncover writings in different languages. This is a great challenge for historians. For instance, the Islamic world of the era of the Crusades called the Byzantine Empire Roma, due to its being the inheritor of the legacy of Imperial Rome of the West, having been the eastern half of that empire. The citizens also called themselves Romans. To them, Rome did not fall until 1453 when the Turks took Constantinople, rather than 476, as our histories declare. Let me make a couple of statements about the Sphinx, the lion with the human head, which figures so prominently in our vision of the Great Pyramid of Khufu, also known as Cheops. Historians say that it must have been covered by sand for a long time because Herodotus, who recorded everything he saw, and he saw practically everything, does not mention it. Historians say it was built in or around 2500 BC. Some legends of the Arabs say it was built before the Great Flood, and others give it an extremely long date for an ancient civilization, as much as 12,000 years. Pharaoh Amenhotep II, in the middle of the second millennium BC, said the Sphinx was older than the pyramids. The inventory stele found by Auguste Mariette in 1857 speaks of how Pharaoh Khufu, or Cheops, who was given credit for the Great Pyramid of Giza, intended to excavate the already ancient Sphinx and restore it. In a research project by Mark Lehner conducted in the mid-1980s, carbon-14 dating came up with dates of either 2746 BC or 2086 BC. Take your pick. My pick will be the later date. Next time, we're going to discuss some more about Egypt. It's very interesting, but I hope that you got some food for thought out of this today. Thank you very much.